Hello survivors, welcome to another video. So we're going to be taking a look at an upcoming feature that's going to be added to the game, and it is announced on the Scopely forums, some of the early info, and basically it is called Faction Assault, and these are some of the key points. It says faction ticket pooling system, multiple bosses, map progression, faction-wide prize distribution, contribution based on prize structure, and faction cooperation based. So this basically is going to be a PvE event. If you don't understand what PvE is, it's the opposite of what PvP is basically. PvP is player versus player, where you come up against another player and what they do influences what you do. There isn't that much PvP in the Road to Survival. Most people in wider gaming wouldn't really consider anything in Road to Survival PvP, even War, because they don't directly respond to your actions. So it's PvE in terms of it's a bot team that you're attacking in War, but it is set up by another person. So it's like very boiled down PvP. So this is very much PvE. There's nothing to do with other factions. You are going to be going into like bases and taking down multiple leaders or multiple bosses, as it says here. And if you understand how it works in MMORPGs, it's basically in MMORPGs they call it raiding, and it's going to be called faction assaulting in here because we already have raiding. But raids in MMORPGs is like you go into something with 8, 12, 24, like big numbers of people, and you all help each other out. You all have like different types of abilities, healers and stuff like that. And the aim is to take down smaller bosses and get to the main boss, take the main boss down, and get a good reward. And that's basically the same as what this is going to add to the game. So I'm going to go through the screenshots. I'll put them large on the screen so you guys can see it a little bit better. The first screenshot, it says opening act of Faction Assault. It says new major content feature in November. So we're going to have that in a week or two. All faction members fight together against a boss villain of their choice in the new faction boss mode. I'm not sure why there's bullet points there, because that almost sounded like they were continuing. Anyway, so basically it's going to be you're fighting with your faction, which is great. Something I actually thought needed to be added was something more to do with your faction, because at the moment there isn't much to do with your faction except tournaments and faction tournaments. And this sounds like it could be a really fun feature, which there's a lot lacking in The Walking Dead Road to Survival in terms of just having fun. There's not much fun. It's very grindy, very chore based, but this could be fun. It really depends on how they execute it. The next screenshot shows some stuff that, just describing what's going to happen. It says persistent PvE feature where all members of a faction fight together against a boss villain of their choice in the new faction boss mode. Can your faction defeat the boss in time? So it's obviously time based. It probably is, from what I've read as well, you're given days. It isn't like hours. So you do have a set time, but you also know how long it's going to take. So you're not going to be like asleep when this starts up or something like that. And you can sort of try and arrange it around how your faction members are like active. So the faction leader summons the boss. All faction members earn tickets into one shared pool towards a faction total. Each faction leader uses the pool to select a boss that's most fitting for your faction to fight. So the tickets earned, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure how that works. You have to earn tickets. I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to earn tickets. And the tickets earned, I guess, are spent on what boss you're going to fight. And this is how it does work in some other games. Like you have to have some sort of currency to enable you to do these fights. I don't know how they're going to be earned. Hopefully they can be semi-random drops. Something that I also like to see in games is just a bit of a random drop. There isn't many random fun drops in this game. Maybe just weapons, pretty much 4-star weapons, and even those are quite limited at the moment. So the next one is faction shares progress. Everyone gets a limited number of attack attempts per map per day, and then strategize with your faction mates to divide and conquer. All map progress is shared across the faction. We can't really see too much in these screenshots. It kind of looks like Survival Road in the way you're going along with your faction, and you have to defeat something. Maybe you get multiple attacks, and maybe everyone has to win their battle. I'm not sure how it's going to work. It's basically we're going to have to see it in action to really understand how it works. But it looks kind of like Survival Road in the screenshot, but it'll just be like a faction Survival Road, and hopefully there'll be some sort of new dynamic. Hopefully it's not something too samey. Defeating the boss in time. So when the boss is defeated, you get a cool prize for the whole faction. The more damage you contribute, the better the reward. So theoretically, the boss has got unlimited health points, by what I'm reading here. And if your faction does a lot of damage, it depends on the damage input you make. Depends on how much your reward is. So let's say you had to do 100,000 damage to defeat him. If you did 140,000 damage, maybe your reward is better because of that. I'm not sure how it's going to be calculated. Again, it's going to be a lot based on, you know, us actually testing this out. Next out, we have the just the overview again of what's going to go down. A little bit of idea on terms of the story. You know, I'll give you a link in the description to the news post so you can check this out yourself. Basically, Negan realizes he needs some heavy firepower. He goes to Fort Meade, grabs a tank. You know, who wouldn't do that? He goes to Fort Meade, grabs a tank, and so he's got a tank now. So he's going to be one of the. I think he's going to be the main boss. I guess they're going to add new like arcs like this every now and again. With the Assault series, they could add maybe something else to do with the Governor. They could add something else to do with the Preacher. You know, some of the early bosses, some of the early storyline we saw in The Walking Dead. And then in the last screenshot, it says, "Here's the bosses that you'll find, like the mini bosses, on your way to the big bad boss, which would be Negan and the tank." So you've got Connor, Tara, and John. So this is how it works in MMORPG raiding system, which would be the sort of system where you have mini bosses on your way to the big boss, and these can either drop rewards themselves, or this can just sort of mark your progress. So like if you only defeat 2 of these mini bosses and your faction can't get past the 3rd mini boss, you will still get rewards, just not as good as people who clear it all. Now we're gonna have to test this. That, you know, proof is in the pudding and all that. But it does look like it could be good. The reality of the situation is, if this was an MMORPG that I was playing and I saw this get announced, I would be really, really excited and looking forward to it. However, with The Walking Dead Road to Survival, there's always that one small key part that is always going to be a problem with, and it's not just this game, but it's all mobile phone games, is where the paywall is going to be. What point can you get to without having to spend more to get more of that? And that's really the most important thing. If you have to spend more to attack more, if you have to spend more to, I don't know, just get more out of the system that is in there. I don't want to be too negative about this situation because I haven't seen too much, but if there's not much spending involved in this, and this is just 100% faction fun, that would be what this game needs so much. The game does not need another paywall. It really does need something that is just pure enjoyment for everybody. It isn't about who pays the most. It isn't about anything like that. It's just fun, you know. Now, if you paid for better characters and they'd be more useful in this, that's where the paywall can be. But I don't think this should have any sort of pay system. We'll see how it is going to be. But I'm not holding my breath in terms of this just being completely open and not needing any money to be put into it. Like if this was like Survival Road doesn't need really any money to be put into it. You can complete Survival Road. It does get very hard, and you can refresh your teams and stuff like this, but you don't need to. You don't need to do it to do more. We'll see what the system is like, but this looks pretty interesting. Tell me what you guys think. It is something that I think was desperately needed in terms of just something else to do, some other feature, and we'll have to see what it's going to be like. We are a couple of weeks away from this being released. It is early November from what I've read, but that's it for this video. Looking forward to this feature. Keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.